Jhingan!
It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams here.
Hi, you're watching Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. On the show today, the Ashes test in Adelaide has been marred by one incident, and instead of baseball, what's trending is Snickogate. The unfortunate non-dismissal of Alex Carey has headlined the test. Has this showcased the host's double standards? Lionel Messi has left the country, and so have all the cameras and the attention from football in India. The captain of the men's side currently let it out in a social media post that no one cares for the sport or its survival in the country. How true are his words? And India's chess players say their best holiday destination is home. That is not sarcasm or lack of creativity. It's just fatigue and the cost of wanting to be the best. With holiday season around the corner, how homesick are India's top grandmasters? But first, the headlines on Sports 360. Starting with football, Paris Saint-Germain have added another international trophy as they lifted the Intercontinental Cup for the first time. The French side beat Flamengo on penalties. The match finished 1-1 in regulation time. PSG's little-used backup goalkeeper Matvey Safonov saved 4 penalties to give PSG yet another trophy. So far, they have just lost the FIFA Club World Cup in the final. German football club Bayern Munich have been hit with a $136,000 fine along with partial stadium closure for their next home Champions League match. The Bavarian club was fined for blocking public passages and fans' fireworks during the match against Sporting. Over to Indian football. Seasoned club Mohun Bagan has been banned for 2 seasons from Asian continental competitions. The Mariners have also been hit with a financial setback of over $400,000 for refusing to travel to Iran. This was for the Champions League 2 clash against Stefan FC earlier this year. The AFC has asked Mohun Bagan to pay Stefan FC around $51,000, AFC $50,000 and also return the $300,000 participation fee. Moving to tennis, Spanish tennis sensation Carlos Alcaraz has separated with his coach Juan Carlos Ferrero. The duo ended their 7-year-long partnership after winning 6 major titles together. Alcaraz often called Ferrero his second father. And we'll sum it up with cricket. India's 4th T20 match against South Africa was abandoned due to severe fog. The match in Lucknow was scheduled to take place at 7 p.m. local time. There were repeated inspections at every 30-minute interval. India lead the 5-match series 2-1. The final match is scheduled in Ahmedabad tomorrow. The third Ashes test in Adelaide was always expected to expose England's baseball gusto, but it has also exposed something else, Australia's double standards. Because over the first 2 days of this test match, England didn't just lose key moments, they also lost to technology. Snicko malfunctioned, reviews went wrong, critical decisions went against the visitors. And while technology provider, the ICC and the umpires have all stepped in to try and calm the storm, there is one camp that refuses to accept responsibility, Australia. Instead, they've done what they do best, shift the narrative. Now, if there is one word that will define the Adelaide test, it's Snickogate, because what unfolded here wasn't a grey area, it was a glaring exposure of how fragile cricket's infallible review system really can be. And it all began on day 1 at a crucial juncture in the match. Alex Carey was batting on 72, a delivery passed close to the bat. There was an audible noise, the sound. The keeper took a clean catch. England reviewed immediately, but Snicko, the final authority, detected nothing. Carey was given not out. And moments later, the controversy exploded because Alex Carey himself admitted he had nicked the ball.
I thought there was a bit of a feather or some sort of noise when it passed the bat. It was a nice sound as it passed the bat. Sometimes you have a bit of luck. Maybe it went my way.
And that luck, it didn't just go his way, it changed the game. Carey went on to score a century. 106 valuable runs, his second test century and at home, in front of an adoring Adelaide crowd. He even paid tribute to his father. Look, it's a moment that deserved celebration. And truthfully, Alex Carey didn't do anything that was illegal or against the rule of the sport. He followed the rules. He played by the book. His century stands, and it should be celebrated. But the problem here is twofold. First, of course, is Alex Carey himself, a player who is England's #1 villain. And he seems to be making it quite a habit of toying with the rule book. In 2023, at Lord's, Alex Carey stumped English batter Jonny Bairstow in what went on to become a controversial dismissal. This after Bairstow left his crease, believing the ball was dead. It sparked a huge debate over the spirit of cricket back then as well. But given it was within the larger framework of the game and the rule, Australia and Carey walked away from that one smiling. But this time it isn't only about Carey. This is clearly now about selective morality, because when decisions go Australia's way, it's all about playing by the book. But when things go against them, suddenly it's about the spirit of the game. And history proves it. Let's rewind to 2013. Trent Bridge. Stuart Broad edges the ball. He knows it. Everyone knows it. But Broad doesn't walk. What followed? Outrage, vilification, relentless attacks from Australian players and media alike. So extreme that a Brisbane newspaper refused to print his name or photo. The message was clear: walking if you have nicked it is moral, not walking is equal to cheating. Fast forward 12 years to now, Alex Carey admits he nicked the ball, doesn't walk. He benefits massively, so does his team, and suddenly there's silence. No outrage, no lectures, no editorials about the ethics of the sport. Instead, the narrative very conveniently shifts. Now it's about technology failure. So the question must be asked, when did the moral compass flip just like that? What was once not the right thing to do is now dismissed as part of the game. And Snicko wasn't done embarrassing itself. On day 2, England wicketkeeper Jamie Smith became the next victim. He was involved in 2 contentious calls, one where he was given not out, the other where he was adjudged caught behind for 22. Social media reacted, former players weighed in, experts questioned the reliability of the technology. And here's the real irony. Some of the harshest criticism of Snicko has come from the Australian camp itself. But notice what's missing here. No one is questioning Carey's choice not to walk. No one is revisiting the spirit of cricket debate, because when Australia benefits, the rules are sacred. When Australia suffer, the system is broken. Remember the acrimonious India versus Australia Test series back in 2008, a bullish Aussie side led by Ricky Ponting playing cricket by their own book, not the rule book, prompting an otherwise stoic Indian captain Anil Kumble to famously utter these words: only one team was playing in the spirit of the game, and it was not Australia. Here's my point. No one is asking Australia to take the high road here. Any sport is played to win. And you should do all you can within the rule of the game to win. Push the envelope if you have to, bend the narrative, but then do not turn around and point fingers when your opposition does the same. For once in this series, the issue has not been baseball or the lack of it or England's approach, not even Snicko, but selective outrage. You can't have the cake and eat it too. Nope. If Australia want to claim the moral high ground, they must stand on it every single time. And that is a controversy no Snicko can fix. One of the biggest icons in world football, Lionel Messi, completed a grand India tour. Kolkata, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Delhi, packed stadiums, massive crowds, unmatched frenzy. India once again proved one thing beyond doubt. There is no shortage of football fans in India. But are photo ops, celebrity interactions, politicians sharing the stage, and symbolic kickoffs really the benchmark of a football-loving nation? Because while the country went gaga over Argentina's World Cup winning captain, India's football star Sandesh Jhingan issued a caution. Not a rant, not a complaint, a warning. Because while crores were spent celebrating Messi, Indian football itself is staring at a future trapped inside a dark tunnel with no clear light at the end of it in sight. Now, ever since Lionel Messi landed in Kolkata on the early morning of December 13, football somehow stopped being the focus. Think about that. One of the greatest footballers of all time comes to India and the sport itself takes a back seat. Entertainment took over. Now Messi did his part, delivered exactly what he was contracted to do. So the question is not for Messi. It's for the organisers and more importantly for the fans. Why did India settle for hype over hard conversations? Because millions were spent to bring Messi to the country. At a time when Indian football is fighting for survival, at a time when the Indian Super League remains in a limbo, at a time when clubs, players, coaches and support staff don't know what is coming next. Not too long ago, Olympic gold medalist Abhinav Bindra expressed his discomfort. And now Indian football star Sandesh Jhingan has gone a step further. He asked a question that cuts deep.
We are close to shutting everything down because there is no willingness to invest in football within India. Yet crores were spent on this tour. We do love the sport, but perhaps not enough to support our own players.
We love the sport, but not enough to support our own players. That line hurts because it is true, isn't it? And this question isn't just for the AIFF because that would be too easy. It isn't just for event organisers. It was their job to pull off a tour. It's for the fans. Yes, fans have every right to spend their money how they choose to. And no, Jhingan is not asking fans to fund footballers or the sport. What he's asking is far more important. He's urging the football community in the country to wake up and start demanding accountability from those who run the sport. Because let's be honest, what about this tour was actually football? Did Indian football gain anything structurally? Did young Indian players get meaningful exposure? Did academies, grassroots systems or coaching pathways benefit? The national team barely featured. Rising India players didn't even get a chance to interact with Messi. Apart from Sunil Chhetri and a former woman footballer Aditi Chauhan, there was virtually no footballing exchange. And now the tour is over. 4 days later, the confetti is gone, the cameras have moved on. The real issue remains untouched. Why hasn't Indian football restarted its league? Why is the ecosystem still uncertain? Why are the hard questions still being avoided? This is the problem. India doesn't lack passion for football. India lacks priority. We celebrate icons but ignore institutions. We cheer moments but neglect systems. Until Indian football becomes more than just an event, Messi's visit will remain just that, a headline and a memory, not a turning point. If India can spend crores to host a legend, then surely it can invest in building its own, because loving football isn't about who you celebrate for 3 days. It's about who you stand by when the cameras disappear, and that's the ugly truth Sandesh Jhingan is asking us to confront. Now, it might have been a relatively quiet year for Indian chess stars, not too many big wins or moves to really write home about, but that could also be because they've hardly been home. Indian chess players have been on the move. While the results have been rather slow, the travel has been relentless and non-stop. So much so that in a FIDE interaction on their favorite vacation spot, Indians said home. Not for lack of ingenuity, mind you. The holiday season is around the corner, so we here at Firstpost understand that sentiment.
Chess as a sport often gets maligned as a relatively easy discipline. No physical strain or exhaustion, and hence there isn't too heavy a toll on the athletes. It is only with time have we all begun to comprehend the mental fatigue that comes with this sport. Chess is grueling, and what is endless is the travel. The competition is so intense that there is a set number of events every athlete simply must participate in. You have to keep your rating points up, and for that, scheduling certain number of events and tournaments in your calendar year is key. FIDE recently did a fun Q&A with some of the chess players, asking them a simple question. What is your favorite holiday destination, your vacay spot? While most athletes ended up giving some fun answers to this, Indian players' answers shocked all. Home. Now, it's not lack of originality here. That's just how homesick they have all got. Let's talk about Gukesh in particular. It's been a hard season for this world champion. Has not been the best of years, so that makes the travel all the more tedious. Take a look at his marathon year. He started the year in Netherlands, then flew to Germany. It was Paris after a gap of a few weeks. Romania in May, USA and Norway the same month. He then went to Croatia in June, Spain in July, Poland, and back to USA in August, Uzbekistan in September, and USA again in October before going to Greece and then back to US. Now he's in India for the GCL. That's how manic it's been, and that travel is tougher when the results have not matched the previous year.
Nowadays, going home feels like a vacation.
Take Praggnanandhaa, the only Indian to qualify for the candidates this year. To do that, he had to double down and push harder, which again translates to heavy-duty traveling right through the year. Praggnanandhaa's schedule took him to Prague, Paris, Warsaw, Bucharest, Armenia, Tashkent, Zagreb, Las Vegas, St. Louis, Samarkand, Sao Paulo, and London. So you can imagine the relief to see familiar terrain, faces, and maybe that's what he needs to give him the last flourish got the year.
I've hardly been home this year. At the most, I get 2 weeks at home. To me, that's not really a break, because by the time you feel relaxed, another tournament is there, and you have to start playing. I would like a much longer break.
His compatriot Arjun Erigaisi has been raking in the miles too. The schedule has been so packed that there were times he had to fly out the same day the tournament ended. The strain, the pressure, is real. So when asked what holiday destination they would want to go to, home is the only option on their minds. But here's the thing. No matter the constant travel, the jet lag, the constant competition mode, they wouldn't pause it for anything.
I was telling myself, if I don't push myself at this age, when am I going to push myself?
We are talking of India's top stars. Players who really swung the power dynamics back to India. So hardships like this is what they will bear with a smile. Especially when it means one more shot at glory, taking India to the pinnacle and continuing to challenge the very best. So even as the holiday spirit calls, a chance to unwind and rest before a new year begins, the quest to be the best will continue to drive them.
Time for last serve. NBA legend Kobe Bryant's pair of Grinch-themed Nike sneakers are on display in California. They are going to be auctioned and are expected to fetch over $10 million. Take one last look before they get sold to a lucky fan.
It's really hard to put a number on something that has had such an important part in history. You know, these shoes have transcended sports collectibles to become items of current cultural property. But, you know, what we imagine these shoes to fetch, given what we know about the market, is $10 million plus.
That wraps it up here on Firstpost. I'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, do take care. Bye-bye.
I was born into privilege, but I sold myself as the voice of the poor. I led a revolution in the mountains and marched into Havana as a hero. I promised freedom, equality, dignity. What I built was a one-party state. I survived invasions, embargoes, and enemies, but my people survived shortages in silence. Some called me El Comandante. History calls me something else. A dictator. Who am I?